Everybody, welcome to the show. This is huge breaking news. We have Ukraine who has launched long-range missiles into Russia. This literally goes against what Trump wanted. He's furious at Biden right now. He said this is the dumbest thing that Biden could have done. He's literally released a video that we're going to show you in a moment, immediately calling for Putin and Zelensky to come meet with him now, to end the war, to cut a deal so that there is no more killing, there's no more deaths on either side. He said we need peace and we can make a deal. This is what a true leader does. It's just insane that Biden has allowed this just days before Trump is going to take office, and with what Trump has already done. Trump also said that he's going to declare a national emergency once he enters office to stop the illegal immigrants from coming in and to execute and use military force to get the criminals out as fast as possible. The Trenda Aragua gangs are already in multiple states and multiple cities throughout the United States. And he said it is time to rid the United States of these criminals and these gangs to keep American families safe. We now have 12 lawsuits who have been sent to Pennsylvania for the illegal ballot counting because they've been trying to win the Senate race with Casey against McCormick. We have multiple governors across multiple swing states who are now doubling down on the vote counting for fear of investigation and lawsuits like what is happening to Pennsylvania. They have fear that Matt Gaetz will come after them for illegal ballot counting. We also have the FEMA director has skipped over people's houses. We all heard about it. If you had a Trump or Vance sign, they skipped over your house. Well, now that they are testifying before Congress to be held accountable for their putting politics in front of taking care of Americans in their time of need. And lastly, Judge Merchan has decided to delay the case with Trump in the New York hush money trial. Everybody's saying it should be dismissed, but for some reason, this guy wants to live in this 15 minutes of fame, and he's trying to hold on. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening, but we got to get into the news. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And thank you so much to all of our members of the channel. Thank you, already killing it in the chat. Thank you, Judy Lynn Loving Spear, for gifting 5 True Life News memberships. Also, if you don't mind, if you can click the thumbs up like button, it really does help to grow the channel and grow the videos. And just want to give a shout out to Rosie Figueroa for giving and donating through the super chats. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We're so grateful that we get to serve you every single day. But let's get right into this news, everybody. This is crazy, but I love that Trump is coming out and making a statement now.
We have never been closer to World War III than we are today under Joe Biden. A global conflict between nuclear-armed powers would mean death and destruction on a scale unmatched in human history. It would be nuclear Armageddon. Nothing is more important than avoiding that nightmare. We will avoid it, but we need new leadership. Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war. We must be absolutely clear that our objective is to immediately have a total cessation of hostilities. All shooting has to stop. This is the central issue. We need peace without delay. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad, while they turn us into a third world country and a third world dictatorship right here at home. The State Department, the defense bureaucracy, the intelligence services, and all of the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first. We have to put America first. Finally, we have to finish the process we began under my administration of fundamentally reevaluating NATO's purpose and NATO's mission. Our foreign policy establishment keeps trying to pull the world into conflict with a nuclear-armed Russia based on the lie that Russia represents our greatest threat. But the greatest threat to Western civilization today is not Russia. It's probably, more than anything else, ourselves and some of the horrible USA-hating people that represent us. It's the abolition of our national borders. It's the failure to police our own cities. It's the destruction of the rule of law from within. It's the collapse of the nuclear family and fertility rates like nobody can believe is happening. It's the Marxists who would have us become a godless nation worshiping at the altar of race and gender and environment. And it's the globalist class that has made us totally dependent on China and other foreign countries that basically hate us. These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas while keeping us distracted from the havoc they're creating right here at home. These forces are doing more damage to America than Russia and China could ever have dreamed. Evicting this sick and corrupt establishment is the monumental task for the next president. And I'm the only one who can do it. I'm the only one that can get the job done. I know exactly what has to be done.
Guys, so that's right there. This is by far one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. Ukraine launches 6 U.S. long-range missiles to strike targets within Russia. Putin came out and has said, hey, if you shoot any long-range missiles into Russia, we're not going to hold Ukraine accountable. We're going to hold the country that gave Ukraine those missiles. Laura Trelongo, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Member of the channel. Y'all show Laura some love in the chat. Things are getting stupid right now, right before Trump is about to take office. And Bongino comes out and says, hey, man, I've got some leaked news of what's actually going on. This isn't looking good. Check this out.
This is a little bit of bad news. I threw this in right at the beginning because it is such a critically important story that to leave it to the end at risk I wouldn't get to it would be political talk show heresy and certainly MAGA heresy. Folks, we sent Ukraine a bunch of ATACMS. ATACMS are basically long-range missiles. It's simple as that. And for the first time, as you can see from this Wall Street Journal article breaking yesterday, the Ukrainians have used them inside of Russia. Folks, this is a major breakthrough in this war. I'm a little concerned, and you should be too. It is not cowardly or isolationist for us to say, well, now if Ukraine is attacking inside Russia and Putin has indicated that he's going to now change his nuclear posture based on this, it's pretty dumb to ignore it. You doubt me? Here's Putin himself. You're going to see the translator talking about this. Now, there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, he's bluffing. Is that really a chance we want to take? There's no question the man has nuclear weapons and could potentially use them. Watch this.
In the updated version of the document, aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the support of a nuclear state, is proposed to be considered as their joint attack on Russia. Russia will also consider the possibility of using nuclear weapons when receiving reliable information about a massive launch of means of aerospace attack and their crossing of our state border. This includes strategic and tactical aircraft, as well as cruise missiles and drones.
That's what he's talking about, the missile attacks. Now, again, there's a lot of people out there. Well, what are we going to do? Not do anything because Putin said so? I'm not saying not do that. I'm saying I think the better tactical strategy was a strategy to wear the Russians out, kind of like, i.e., Afghanistan, when they had to leave there in humiliating fashion, rather than rapidly escalating, risking another rapid escalation by a nuclear-powered enemy. They have nukes, man. It's not going away. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's real. We can't just cavalierly treat this like it's just some throwaway decision, like we're tossing a penny in a fountain at Disney and making a wish.
No.
I'm just telling you to keep your eye on this. Michael just said it. It's clear Joe Biden does not have his cognitive faculties. Who is running this White House? And are these guys risking a potential escalation? I hate the World War III analogies, but something serious like Putin launching a tactical battlefield nuke just because they're headed out the door to leave Donald Trump with a sandwich? Don't dismiss the possibility. Keep your eye on that story. I will, I promise.
And I want to say this too, like there's breaking news that's happening. I'm going to be updating y'all if things come across. We'll throw it into the show because I want to make sure you're fully updated. But there's now the GOP is coming out and saying that they want to have talks with Biden over pulling back on him telling Ukraine to use long-range missiles. So they're saying that it's ridiculous that he would tell them just days before Trump is going to take office to allow Ukraine to do this. So GOP is fighting it right now as we speak. Kathy Brewer, thank you so much for your support. You are here. We love you. We appreciate you. And hey, God loves everybody. Thank you so much for your support. Andy with A&F, the cycle that we're going through the White House is that it's not Biden pulling the strings. Somebody else is, and they're trying to make a screw up for Trump before he takes over. 100%. Y'all show Andy and Kathy some love in the chat, everybody.
This is a major, major, major thing. So you are always, folks, always on the Dan Bongino Show. Jim, producer Jim, unflag it, please. I told you the flag it strategy that what Donald Trump was doing with his nominees, Gaetz, Hegseth, Tulsi, Bobby Kennedy, and others, is he was putting forth folks who are going to be change agents, but were going to cause controversy amongst the troublemakers on the left. I don't care if they're pissed off. And I said he was doing it I told you it was the Rock'em Sock'em Robot strategy. That Trump strategy, which I think is pretty brilliant, is to flood the zone, keep punching Rock'em Sock'em Robot style, and basically overwhelm the system so they can't focus on one particular nominee. Guys, listen, self-praise stinks. Who gives a shit about patting yourself on the back? Look at me. It was obvious to anyone paying attention. The disconnect, I think, is why he did it. I think we were one of the few shows to mention they learned from what happened to Mike Flynn in 2016. They let the media focus on one guy. Now they're like, boom, hit him with everyone. So, of course, as I said, you were a couple weeks ahead of it. New York Times, of all people, Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan confirming what I told you. They say Gaetz may not be confirmed, Trump admits, but he's pushing him and others anyway. Why is he doing that? Well, they note Mr. Trump has repeatedly swamped the system with provocations. That Bannon memorably stated that their strategy for dealing with the news media was to flood the zone. Yes, I see red flags in the chat. We told you that's what they were doing. Just listen to us, and you're 2 weeks ahead of the cycle. Here, it goes on. The flood the zone, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, keep punching strategy has ensured, look, that little focus stays on any single scandal. Sidekick. Karate Man strikes again. Because Karate Man hurt on the inside. I told you, Karate Man style.
Let's go.
Read it right there. The strategy has ensured little focus stays on any single scandal. Did your boy explain it to you? This guy. What did I tell you? The news programs are only an hour long. They cannot dedicate an hour to one person if they're worried about Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi, Pete, Hegseth, and Gaetz. They note the caravan moves quickly to the next and the next, creating an overall blurring and flattening effect. Trump has survived them all, including felony convictions and being held liable for sexual abuse, all the scams. I told you. I want you to witness. This is perfect. This is perfect, too. Here's a clip from 61 Minutes, formerly known, folks, why is it now renamed 61 Minutes? Because they added a minute for Kamala. So it was 60. They destroyed their brand. It's like the Redskins becoming the Guardians. It's now 61 Minutes. Listen to this segment in the beginning of 61 Minutes where they don't even know how to handle it. They're like, they bounce from Rubio to Pete to Gaetz, and notice how they can't spend any time on any one of them? Your boy Danny Botts told you, listen and you'll be weeks ahead of these idiots in the media. Watch 61 Minutes. Check this out.
The nominees are Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth to lead the 3 million people of the Department of Defense. He's a combat veteran, most recently a morning show host on Fox News with no government experience. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but when they say no government experience, basically they said with no establishment, follow all the old school ways of doing things, experience of just following in line and making government bigger.
In charge of law enforcement. Gaetz has been investigated by Republicans for alleged drug use and sex with a minor. Gaetz denies those allegations. Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. She sought a pardon for Edward Snowden, who leaked U.S. secrets and now lives in Russia. And Robert Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, a skeptic of vaccinations. It's up to the new Republican majority in the Senate to decide whether these nominees are equipped to represent the American.
Did you see it? Did you see it? You see how they can't focus on any one thing? Michael just said it right. Michael's like, 61 Minutes should have just said, listen, all these picks suck. We don't like them. They don't know what to do. They're like, this guy. I love the line, too, about Pete Hegseth. They said that Pete Hegseth has no government experience. Yeah, outside of working for our military in combat and getting 2 Bronze Stars. You're 100% correct, Scott. No government.
I'm telling you, like, what we're seeing, check this out. They don't want Matt Gaetz in there because they know that if Matt Gaetz gets in there, he's going to 100% come, knock some people out with the law, with the truth, hold people accountable. Trump has sent word to the Senate Majority Leader Thune that if the Senate doesn't confirm Attorney General Gaetz, he will appoint him using the Federal Vacancies Reform Act of 1998, which allows for temporary appointments for up to 210 days with a possible 210-day extension. This individual would not require Senate confirmation. So Trump said, look, we got to clean house. We got to do something because all this lawlessness, it's not happening. We've got to take care of things. This is one of the big things. So this come out, and Summerman, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Summerman some love in the chat. He said, don't worry, everyone. Have faith. Everything will be fine. I think we get the right leadership in place, things will be great. So this is a list of what is going to happen. Handful of hardline executive actions. National emergency declaration. Trump has already said he's going to do that. Expand detention centers. Unlock funds for border wall. New massive detention facilities. Remain in Mexico. Expanded draft asylum restrictions. More funding resources. Mass detention and mass deportation. And then military assets will be used for mass deportation. So Trump is saying, look, we've got a problem. We got criminals. We got gangs that have taken over cities, taken over hotels. We've got to keep America safe. And this is what we need to do. Check this out.
Following up on his promise to solve the border crisis, earlier today, President-elect Donald Trump confirmed he would use the military for mass deportations of illegal immigrants. But predictably, Democrats, they are already pushing back on his deportation plan. Now, this weekend, incoming Trump administration border czar Tom Homan was asked about the Congressional Hispanic Caucus chair, saying that his group would oppose mass deportation. Well, it prompted this response. Take a look.
Game on. Look, you're a member of Congress. ICE isn't making this up. They're enforcing the law. We're in a situation now, you got members of Congress. Those who enforce the law are the bad guys, and those who break the law are the victims. I mean, the whole world's upside down. President Trump has made it clear, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. What member of Congress, what governor, or what mayor is against taking public safety threats out of their community?
But it is not just Democrats in Congress. Democratic leaders around the country, they are threatening not to comply with Donald Trump's mass deportations. Take a look.
We're going to defend the people of this city. Because, look, his attack, let's be very clear, the president-elect, former President Trump, his threat is not just towards new arrivals and undocumented families.
Wow.
His threats are also against black families.
If the Trump administration requests...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is so... You see how they put politics into it? How they put race into it? Every dang progressive has always got to try to stick race into there. Oh, it's not... I mean, when has Trump ever said that he would ever deport black families? Never. He's only said illegal immigrants. But the people that listen to these dumb news hosts or these dumb people that are running cities literally throw that fear out there and try to control people.
Would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not.
I have a message. They won't have any choice.
They don't have a choice.
That would be federal jurisdiction. Now, I guess that means they don't have a problem with dozens of dead Americans, Americans killed by Harris Biden unvetted illegals, or the dozens of Americans raped, including children, or the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Americans that have been victims of violent crime, or they don't seem to care about known gang members in the country, cartel members in the country, known terrorists. We know there are people with terror ties in this country right now. We just don't know where they are. Or they don't care about the Lake and Riley trial that is now ongoing, or even more disturbing details came to light today. And according to sources, the alleged murderer, Jose Ibarra, took one of the free Biden administration-funded flights to Georgia from New York, where he then hunted down Lake and Riley. I mean, should these people not be deported? Why would you put the lives of illegal immigrant criminals over the safety of Americans? And so during today's trial, his roommate told the court that Ibarra was in bed, sound asleep, shortly after the alleged murder. And an FBI employee testified in court today that during a jailhouse call, Ibarra's wife appeared to accuse him of knowing about Lake and Riley's murder, asking him, quote, "What happened to that girl?" Now, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should be tried, frankly, for what they have done to aid and abet in all of this law-breaking, with wide open borders, free transportation, free housing, food, healthcare, education, and Kamala, of course, supporting free sex change or taxpayer-funded sex change operations. But I don't support the weaponization of justice like they do. Here with reaction, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. I'm just having a hard time understanding, you know, what part of the murder, rape, drugs, terrorists, violence, gangs, cartels, why are they defending those people over the safety of American citizens? Can you explain that to me? Because I'm having a hard time understanding it.
Sure. There's a psychological phenomenon called cognitive dissonance. And in cognitive dissonance, you simply reject information you don't want. So, for example, if you really love chocolate ice cream, you convince yourself that it has no calories. And so you can eat all the chocolate ice cream you want. You're dealing with people who have, over the last 60 years, developed an anti-American model, used it to dominate the major universities, then to dominate the newsrooms, then to infiltrate the bureaucracies. And these people have clear models. They're very anti-American. They want a weaker America. They want to drown those of us who represent traditional America with people who have no idea what America is all about. And they're very militant about it. And so they start from that perspective. President Trump has a simple challenge. The American people will rally if you start methodically with criminals, with people who came out of jails. The first 600,000 or 1 million that you're going to deport are pretty obvious and very hard to argue against. And what you want to do is crowd the people who are nuts into defending, let's keep the rapist in town. Let's keep the murderers in town. They can't defend that. That just makes them look silly and isolated.
You know, I remember I had a front row seat. I got to MC the night you became Speaker I would argue that in my lifetime, there have been 3 waves of real conservative change in this country. The first would be Ronald Reagan. The second would be the Gingrich Revolution. Before you even became Speaker, Time and Newsweek had some version of the Gingrich that stole Christmas and broke Tiny Tim's crutch, before you even got it done. And you said at the time, I am a genuine revolutionary. That's what you said. I don't know if you recall that. You did say it. And by the time you left being Speaker, you balanced the budget 4 times in a row, and it's the last time in history it's been balanced. Now we have a chance to actually do what conservatives often say they want to do. How does Trump get to the point where he will be successful?
He has to, every day, follow Lincoln, Reagan, and Margaret Thatcher. The American people have to be his allies. It's not just communications. He has to work with them. He has to arouse them. He has to organize them. Look, people don't even realize this, but under President Eisenhower, we deported about 1,500,000 people, which for the population of the United States at that time would be a deportation today probably of around 7 or 8 million people. So we have a history of doing this. We know how to do this.
Yeah.
And I think on every issue, whether it's the tax cuts, regulatory reform, this new commission, the DOGE Commission on cutting out spending, or it's controlling the border and getting people out of this country who are dangerous, on every issue, the number one job of the Trump administration is to work with the American people. Reagan used to say it perfectly. His job was to turn up the light for the American people so they would turn up the heat on Congress. The only way you win this fight is to win the public relations side. Margaret Thatcher said once, first you win the argument, then you win the vote. On this issue, it's pretty straightforward. Do you really believe somebody who has broken the law to come to the United States and has been consistently breaking the law ever since they've been here deserves to be in the U.S., or are you in favor of legal immigrants who do the right thing the right way and do not deserve to be threatened by having criminals in their neighborhoods? I think this is an argument we will win, but we have to make the argument.
We have to make the argument for that.
And this is big, everybody. Like what we're seeing with the immigration policy, what we're seeing with this that just broke, Russia President Putin approves nuclear doctrine changes. This comes after President Biden gave Ukraine permission to strike Russia with U.S. missiles. Remember how I told you I'm watching because I'm expecting, with stuff that's crazy as it's happening right now, for us to hear from Trump over what's going on. Listen to this.
Russia took land, Bush, under Obama, and under Biden, they're going for the whole box. The only one they didn't take anything from was under Trump. They didn't take anything, not from me, they didn't. The Ukraine disaster would have never happened. Iran also never.
I'm sorry, guys, that there must be something wrong with the
invaded
the video. But okay, so I'm just going to read it to y'all of what he goes over. But he says, Vladimir Putin has just updated the nuclear doctrine with will allow them to send the nuclear weapons towards NATO countries, including America, after the Ukraine launched U.S. long-range missiles. This could mean World War III. He said, I will end this war on day one as president. Like, so this stuff is happening. Like, we're literally living in history right now of Trump's about to take office. Biden makes this stupid decision. The Democrats are imploding right now. Kamala Harris, no one even knows what the heck's going on with her. And everybody is just wondering where things are going. Where's the, like, a lot of people are saying, where the Democratic Party at? What happened, you know, with the with Biden, with Obama, with Kamala Harris and all this stuff. But it's just amazing to see that when we have people, just like I showed you yesterday, check this out, that mayor out of Boston that came out and said, hey, I'm going to stop anybody from trying to deport people. Listen what Holman said exactly about that one statement.
defending our residents every possible way. Well, she's not very smart, I'll give her that, because what I just said is President Trump's going to prioritize public safety threats. What mayor or governor doesn't want public safety threats out of their communities? I mean, that's her number one responsibility, is to protect her communities. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So she helps us, she gets the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it. And look, there's a clear line here, and they can't cross a clear line. I would suggest she read Title 8, United States Code 1324 III, that says, you can't harbor or conceal an illegal alien from front of law enforcement officers. So I hope she don't cross that line. They can not cooperate. But there are certain laws in place that they can't cross, and I hope she doesn't cross it. But
I'm telling you, the stuff that I'm reading, they're saying, look, if this is federal law, if you do not allow us to do what we need to do, you don't have to cooperate, but we're going to do what we need to do, or else you're crossing the line and you're breaking federal law and you're harboring these people. That means you go to jail too. I'm telling you. Things are getting crazy, y'all. Things are getting crazy. Let me know what you think in the chat. Check this out.
Kamala Harris smashed the Democratic Party to pieces with a $2 billion hammer. Now the kingmakers are tearing each other apart, trying to seize control and rebuild the party from the bottom up. But what's the Democratic Party without any money? Kamala burned through $100 million a week during her little campaign. Now Democrats are in debt. She didn't win a single swing state and was the first Democrat to lose the popular vote in 20 years. So what'd Kamala do with her billions? New reporting from the Times shows Kamala gave $2 million to influencers and spent $10 million on concerts. Kamala blew $900,000 to put her face on the Las Vegas Sphere. And originally it was reported she paid Oprah $1 million for an interview. It's actually $2.5 million. They built a venue for a rally in Pittsburgh, but then had to tear it down because the Secret Service told them it wasn't secure. If only they'd done that in Butler. More than $500,000 went to Al Sharpton and Roland Martin, both people who just so happened to give softball interviews to Kamala. I'm not sure it's connected at all. And she spent thousands on Uber Eats and ice cream. I guess Joe's holdovers liked ice cream just as much as the big guy. While Kamala was eating dessert and making her friends richer, her staffers were getting stiffed. Kamala stopped paying some of her top staffers over the weekend, and now the DNC's firing hundreds of employees. The staffers are furious. One told Axios, quote, if they want to be the party of the working people, they should have more respect for their workers. There's an inauthenticity in how they talk about workers, and clearly voters feel the same thing. The heads are rolling and the Democrat grunts are revolting. To us, it's obvious why Kamala lost. But some people are still scratching their heads.
I don't know why the Democrats lost. I don't understand why prices have come down. The economy is good. I don't know why they voted against her. Well, against the party.
Wow.
Others are still saying.
And I want to say this too. Do y'all realize that it's only very, very rich people that always say that? I don't know why she lost. I don't know why nobody voting for her. The economy is good. If you're rich, you don't feel the effects like everybody else. It's so disconnected. They're so disconnected from the average person.
Kamala lost because America's sexist.
He's a great candidate, a great resume, but in some people's minds, anybody that's not white and male is lousy. And we know that to be the case in this country.
But Slick Willie says Americans aren't sexist. We love women, just the right kind.
I think it would probably be easier for a conservative Republican woman to win.
Democrats are off message, and they don't have a leader to bring them together.
Look, I think Democrats are in the wilderness, as you just said before. There is no clear leader of the party. Joe Biden is going to be out of office shortly. Kamala Harris just lost the election. There are a lot of governors and other people who might emerge, maybe people we don't know about yet. Right. But there is no clear leader of the party right now.
Oh, there's a power struggle behind the scenes in the Democrat Party right now. They already told Pelosi to take a seat, and now AOC is telling Obama to take a hike. A lot of people want to bring Obama-era insiders back for party-building purposes. While those folks ran successful presidential campaigns, they also oversaw some of the largest down-ballot losses in modern times. Party building is different. look to people with recent successes. Obama used to be a Democrat darling, but this election ruined his rep.
But boy, Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
Really? Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did, just as an intelligent person, a statesman. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump, the thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
Every time.
Which is this thing I think worked in like 2017.
Yeah.
You know, I think it worked back then. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. I think that we've gotten numb to all this stuff.
Obama cooed Biden, and then Kamala kamikazed the entire party. Republicans have the House and the Senate, and Trump's cabinet nominations are rolling out. Fetterman says Democrats have to chill.
It's still not even Thanksgiving yet. And if we're having meltdowns, you know, every tweet or every appointment or all those things, I mean, it's going to be 4 years.
Democrats need to stop panicking. Stop talking. Start listening.
We lost. And I just want to say this to the Democrats. Do me this favor. Shut the up. When you win, you get to say what you want to. When you lose, you need to shut the hell up.
And when Democrats start listening and they don't like what they hear, debate. Don't censor and smear. They've purged everybody they disagreed with from their party and had no idea they were going to lose because they only talk amongst themselves. And it helps if you're a little more likable.
Stop screaming at people to get with the program and instead make a program worth getting with. And a good first step toward that goal would be to make the voters not want to punch you in the face.
And they really need to drop the weird stuff. One Democrat told Politico, "I don't want to be the freak show party, like they've branded us." Moderate Democrats are making a play to take back the party from radicals. They're looking from, someone new to run the DNC. But this time, DEI isn't even on the table. A DNC member said, "It's white guy winter." Kamala Harris smashed the Democrat.
Guys, I'm telling you this, trust me, I like it that we're moving forward as a country. I like it that things are getting better, but the fight's not over. Look at this. When Republicans filed 12 Pennsylvania lawsuits in aggressive push to end the recount, the fight's not over. When we have somebody who literally is saying this because they're not putting Americans first.
Promise you with every fiber of my being, because I'll probably...
Oh, sorry. Let me fix that playback speed. Guys, I apologize so much. 1 second.
Probably be one of those people. That if anybody promise you with every fiber of my being, because I'll probably be one of those people, that if anybody comes for these people and tries to drag them out by force, there will be protests of people like me, American citizens, who are going to stand there and do everything possible to prevent these women and children, which is all who these people are.
How about the criminals? How about the terrorists? How about the convicted?
How do you sort through? How do you know who it is?
How do you sort through?
That's the problem.
Stop. I'm sorry. I live next to these people. I can tell you they are women and they are children. Are there terrorists among them? I don't know. But I can tell you that there are.
Neither does the government.
But I can tell you. But let me tell. Okay. But what I'm telling you right now, practically speaking, is that there will be people, American citizens, who will prevent these little kids from being dragged out of these shelters. There are. And what's going to happen to these people? What is going to happen to the military when the military opens fire on us?
But no one's... Can you say... Hang on one sec, Chuck.
Do you hear that crap? That's what honestly makes me extremely upset. As she said, we're not going to let them drag the kids away. So you're going to separate the families? No, let the families go together. Because I'll tell you this. If anybody knows, we did a charity called the Isaiah 117 House. The foster care system is hard on kids. And when you remove the kids from the family, it makes it even harder. I'll tell you this though. They're giving our boy Scott Jennings more time, everybody. That things are changing. I feel like on CNN, they're going to be changing on MSNBC because MSNBC is about to be sold because nobody wants to watch them. Check this out.
some of this.
And think about this.
The challenge of sorting through them is mammoth. We had a hard time doing it in Iraq. Okay, our troops have had a hard time doing it in Afghanistan. Trying to ask them to sort through who's who and implement a policy like this, here in the United States is like nothing we've ever seen. Actually, I mean, hold on, maybe the only precedent we have is internment camps during World War II against Japanese Americans, but there's not a military precedent for sorting through who on the Upper East Side is an illegal and who's not. And you're asking a 19-year-old, right, holding a weapon, who signed up to serve his or her country, to thrust themselves into maybe the most fraught political topic that we've got in this country. People want a solution, but they don't necessarily want that one.
You twice now insinuated that Trump's going to send the military to round up American citizens, which is totally false. There are 1.3 to 1.6 million illegal immigrants in this country today who have already received deportation orders from a court. You can start there. There's another population, as Mark said, that have either committed violent crimes in the United States or committed violent crimes where they came from. You can also do that. That has nothing to do with the people in your neighborhood, has nothing to do with the person in your office, and has nothing to do with whatever the hell you're talking about. It has to do with getting people out of the country who do not belong.
How are you going to deploy the military? Give me how exactly you would deploy an active duty military unit to respond to this crisis.
I would use the military in conjunction with local officials.
What does that look like?
Local law enforcement, county sheriffs, people who know their communities, because I assume a lot of the local sheriffs and jailers are going to be the people who end up housing some of these folks before they are deported. But there has to be some...
What's the task and purpose? What's the mission for that young private? What is he actually going to be tasked to do? Guard a gate? Or is he going to be investigating?
I don't know. I wasn't elected
But you're sitting here on CNN saying we should do it. I think you should think out a little bit more about what they actually should be required to do.
Do not belong.
It sounds real good.
One at a time. Scott, quickly.
There are millions of people who came into the country illegally, who have already received deportation orders, or who have committed some other crime while they've been here. The fact that you want to leave them in place is mind-boggling.
That is not what I said. That is not what I said.
Let me ask the same question I asked Chuck.
Yeah.
What was the mandate from the election? As much as any issue, immigration was on the ballot. So what do you think the voters were saying on immigration?
I think the voters were saying, do something about it. I think broadly, across partisan lines, there is almost universal need for people to do something about it. What you do about it is a totally different story. Can I finish it, or are you guys going to jump in?
Do y'all not see that? I'm telling you, CNN's changing. Where they have this moderator who literally said, look, bro, the people said they want immigration. They want things to change. Now you tell us, what do you think the people said? Well, they said they want to do something. Well, we're telling you what Trump said he's going to do, and now you don't like it, but you won't give another option. This is where, again, too, people being held accountable is the best thing that this country can do in terms of the spending, the illegal immigration, and making sure that we get right on track, just like this.
Testifying before the House Oversight Committee over questions of alleged anti-Trump bias in the agency. All as Chairman James Comer calls out alleged political bias within FEMA. Watch.
It appears that this is a pattern of misbehavior by FEMA employees who were instructed, do not help people in affluent neighborhoods, do not help people with Trump signs in their yards or Trump flags or anything that would give the impression that they were not a supporter of the Democrat machine.
Former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi joins me now. Pam, what questions would you ask the FEMA administrator?
Well, I think they need to find out if it's systemic, and it sounds like it is. Right now, there's one woman who, of course, has been fired and saying that she was a scapegoat, and it goes much higher than that. So I think that's very important to find out. And also, they're going to be able to obtain their emails, their text messages, and I firmly believe all this will be uncovered. But if it's systemic throughout FEMA, which I believe it probably is, then they're going to have a tremendous problem on their hands, especially when Kristi Noem takes office very soon and runs that organization. Because these aren't Democrats, these aren't Republicans, these are Americans who are having their civil rights violated because they chose to have a Donald Trump sign in their front yard.
So at the end of the day, you are confident that FEMA leadership will ultimately be held accountable and change will come to that agency if wrongdoing is found?
Absolutely, and after January 20th, major change is going to come.
Understood. Governor Josh Shapiro siding with the state Supreme Court ruling not to count certain mail-in ballots, saying, quote, any insinuation that our laws can be ignored or do not matter is irresponsible and does damage to faith in our electoral process. The rule of law matters in Pennsylvania. It is critical for counties in both parties to respect it with both their rhetoric and their actions. Look, I understand that Josh Shapiro could be running for could be running for president in a few years, but that is an important statement for the Democrat governor to make in this situation. But remember, this all comes after the Bucks County commissioner said, quote, people violate laws anytime they want, Pam. Yes, and those people, Pam, are called criminals. Final thoughts to you.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, the RNC, Laura Trump, Mike Whatley, worked very hard with a whole team of lawyers in Pennsylvania to be sure the rules were followed. And that's why Dave McCormick won. And remember, Josh Shapiro was also Attorney General. We were AGs together. So he was the chief legal officer for the state of Pennsylvania. So I would anticipate he's going to follow the law, which he said he would. This is a tremendous win for our country because it's saying you can't cheat, you can't violate the rules, you have to play by the laws in which we all share. And that's what's happening in Pennsylvania. So it's a great win.
I definitely feel like this is part of a trend, Pam. I mean, we saw over the course of the last 4 years under the Biden administration, Supreme Court decisions, especially in the student loan context, that were literally ignored by the President of the United States. It set a bad precedent. Hopefully, Josh Shapiro, a Democrat, in a move that, quite frankly, hurts his Democrat Party, siding with the rule of law is an important change. Pam Bondi?
And you know, just like they brought it up, that really makes me super upset that the Supreme Court told Biden, you cannot do mass student loan bailouts. And yet he said, we're going to do them anyway. This was the President of the United States saying we're going to give they tried to give $170 billion worth of student loan bailouts even after the Supreme Court said not to do it. And yet Trump was the dictator and Trump was the one who was not going to follow the law when it was right there in their face. But they only reported what followed their agenda. But what I'm about to show you next is that, again, too, there's still lawless, just crazy stuff going after Trump, trying to hold it over his head, even though this dude's about to be the next president of the United States. Check it out.
Well, I think it's absurd. And I think that, you know, Juan Merchan was originally, in my mind, a pro-prosecution judge. Now Juan Merchan is an anti-Trump judge. There is sufficient basis to dismiss this case. But instead, Juan Merchan, who was conflicted from the beginning of this and should never have been allowed to handle this case by the administrative judge of the courts, was allowed to handle this case. He gets a conviction on an absurd case that's not real. It's a make-believe case barred by the statute of limitation, bootstrapped by a federal crime over which he has no jurisdiction, and then with a verdict sheet that no one understands. And now he says, look, I'm willing to wait the 4 years so that we can continue to have Donald Trump, the president of the United States, be awaiting sentences on his conviction for 34 felony counts that are ridiculous, absurd, and everyone knows it. Now you've got Bragg who's saying, you know, that's Bragg. We want to continue this thing. So Juan Merchan now has to have a hearing and decide whether or not those arguments of Bragg are appropriate to continue this case. The Supreme Court's decision within a month of the conviction, and again, there is no conviction unless and until there's a sentencing, that decision reels right into this case because so much of this case was part of the Oval Office, Hope Hicks, Madeleine Westerhout. So much of that evidence the prosecution admitted was essential to their case goes out immediately based upon the Supreme Court's decision. Now, let's talk about the fact that there's a 330 motion for dismissal of the charges, which Merchan could grant immediately by establishing some kind of precedent and saying, you know what, From now on, when there's a president in the Oval Office, irrespective of when the jury verdict came down, the case has to be dismissed. And, you know, temporary immunity, according to Alvin Bragg, you know, doesn't require dismissal post-trial. I mean, this is so full of hate. This is so out of sync with the American public and what they want. Alvin Bragg, Juan Merchan, the two of them brought Donald Trump, they thought, to his knees. They thought that they would put this man in jail. They thought they were heroes and would swing an election. They are one of the reasons that Donald Trump got elected, because the American people do not believe in this kind of justice. This is what happens in third world countries, and Alvin Bragg continues to prove it, and Juan Merchan right now doesn't have the spine. He doesn't know what he's going to do. But right now, they want a hearing. They'll have a hearing. They want a motion scheduled, Alvin Bragg, to decide the motion to dismiss. So Bragg is now putting it on Merchan, but is opposing it.
You know, here is the great, I don't know if you want to call it an irony or a tragedy or what you want to call it, Judge, but you've got a district attorney in Alvin Bragg who is willing to wait 4 years for some sentence to come down on Donald Trump, and it could be anything from a fine to who knows what.
Stupid.
While at the same time, the justice system in New York let walk on the streets a homeless man who's mentally ill, who stabbed to death 3 people in the Big Apple yesterday.
3. Yeah. Look, this is, I just met it. Look, I am standing in front of 100 Center Street. I am in front of the courthouse right now where Donald Trump was tried. And one of the defense attorneys came up to me. He said, you know what? I'm not a Republican. He said, but what they did in that Trump case is absurd. He said, I've got 10 clients whose crimes were committed, allegedly, he said, before this Trump case. He said, we can't even get them to trial. We can't even get the DA to talk about it. They rushed this case for the purpose of destroying Donald Trump. And the American people wouldn't have it. And this case has to be dismissed. It is a violation of everything we hold dear. It's unconstitutional. It is insufficient in terms of evidence, and it is reversible error. There's enough error in this thing to reverse a ship.
Piers Bragg signed this filing himself, which is noted as a departure from the office's typical practice. Judge, if you could also stand by.
I'm telling y'all guys, this is what we're seeing. It's nuts. They want to go after Trump in the biggest way possible. They don't care how it looks. They want to try to put him in jail, and they're literally going to hold that case for the next 4 years, and then after he's done being president, try to come after him. But I feel like Matt Gaetz is going to step inside and clear things up. That's just my thought process. But seriously, with what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, Zelensky, Biden, it's just mind-blowing that we're reporting this news. But I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help. And thank you so much to all of our members of the channel, of the True Life News fam, killing it in the chat. Let's go. Thank you so much to Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, Laura Trelongo, Kathy Brewer, Andy Summerman. Y'all are so awesome. We're so grateful to be able to serve y'all every single day. We thank you for just all your support, all the comments, all the likes. Me and my family are so grateful. We're going to be doing a lot more content for members only. If you want to join the membership of the channel, guys, it's not about us trying to make money off of that. We're literally donating that money to charities every single month because we want to give back and we want to bring positive change. The link is in the description. It's only 99 cents. I mean, nowadays you can't buy much for 99 cents, but what we're showing you is that live on this channel, we are giving back. And we're trying to grow our membership. We want over 10,000 members. We can get there. We can do it. But I want to say thank you so much for all your support. We are here to serve you. And like I said, we're going to be doing some more member-only videos and more member-only posts. And just continue to grow the True Life News fam. Love you all. Thank you for your support. And we'll see you in the next.